That's the best part of this. Yeah. But
correct.
Yeah, you want to learn science? Yeah, science. You're learning science for a particular reason. You're learning math for a particular reason. You go ahead and learn those concepts and do all that. But giving it an angle of
jargon that's used this in recent times. But of late, we're hearing a lot more about STEAM education, where the A stands for art. So what exactly is it all about, and why is art so important, and why is it at the heart of education, especially the way you envision it? Tell us a little bit about what the whole point of having art class as a major part of academics is.
Okay. Talking about STEAM, it's science, technology, engineering, art, and math. Basically, we want to, how do we function in this real world? We function by integrating, and, it's not like today, I'm going to be using science every day from today. And from next month, I'm going to use English. It's never like that. It's all blended, and you need to kind of you need to kind of find solutions in real life which are blended, which are integrated, and that's the entire point of STEAM. It is also to give a child a research mindset. And what happens is STEM is something that's very popular, but what happens with STEAM is there's art.
Yeah.
And wherever there is art, there is a sense of finesse and aesthetics and a perspective involved, right? You start looking at things in a more aesthetic way, the way you're going to present it, right? It also greatly talks about the experience, because that is what art is. Art is neither, there's nothing wrong or right about art. That's the best thing about art, and that's why art is very important, because it makes every child a risk taker. It's okay to make mistakes in art. Today you're going to draw a particular face and then come and give it to me, and it's not according to how a human face would look like. It's okay. Probably it's abstract portrait, right? So it's more about experience, more about how something makes you feel, and that's exactly why art is very important,
and
right? So that being the core of a lot of things that you do now, right from let's say early childhood education to STEAM to various other things, art has become a major part. And the social and emotional learning that comes with it is the crux of why it's done.
Right.
Besides the creativity, besides children loving it, that's why it's of great importance.
Right. So how early do you actually recommend this for kids? Because I've seen parents. So personally, I am a parent of a child. But I've heard from others that their child isn't too into it. It's not something that they enjoy. So tell me, is it like an acquired taste, or is it more of an exposure that gives them that interest? What is it, and how do you go about this with early education, especially for kids in that early education spectrum?
Okay. See, what happens is there's always a question, between art education and art as a skill, right? That's because do you want to critique art? Do you want to get into the history of art? Do you want to get into all of that, or do you want to just create art and become creative? Well, both these are very, very important. Both these are very important because eventually you need to see more to do more. Okay. Yes. If your art needs a lot of depth, you need to know why Picasso went about drawing those crazy looking fishes and faces, right? And you need to kind of know why Van Gogh's Starry Night is, uh, talks about Fibonacci series.
Right.
It's an interesting take on all of this. But when you're starting young, when you're talking about early childhood education, you should just let them explore. So if you kind of divide this way, say right up to grade 6, 7, age 6 or 7, you let them explore. You let them, play with the mediums. You let them, just explore and fall in love with it. And then you slowly introduce a little bit of understanding behind why you're doing what you're doing and what does it mean, whatever you're doing. So probably say from primary up until grade 7, I think you should just let them look at other artists, look at other works, try and make sense of it, interpret. And then above grade 8, again use all of this knowledge and let them create. Kind of synthesize the entire learning and then create. So that way, I think it'll be a lot more deep. Because we must understand, even when you're talking about an abstract art, it doesn't mean that those artists cannot hold a pencil and draw something perfect. It's just that they didn't choose to do that.
Right.
So, and we need to kind of understand why.
Okay.
So that I think to that judge, that's a very beautiful way of introducing inclusivity and inclusiveness in children, right? To not just judge something at the face of it, but to kind of understand everything has some depth to it.
Absolutely, hear it. And there's so much of opportunity for kids to be together too, and so much of fun when it's a collaborative project as well. So that's great. So I had a question about how do you see it as a foundation for something like science or math or anything that's a lot more academic than what art is? How do you actually integrate it with the rest of the subjects? So for one, a personal example, so when I had a unit study going on about countries and cultures, we did talk about it through the lens of one particular art from the region. So we were studying China and we were talking about an artist from the region. So that was one way that I can think of art being integrated with an academic subject like geography. Like, why did that person to draw this, and how did that culture actually influence the artist? So how does this translate to anything else like math or science, for example? How do you see it as a foundation for those subjects? Art as a foundation for the other subjects?
Okay, well, when you're looking at art and other subjects, let us understand, these are subjects and you are learning them for a particular purpose. But to kind of make it more interesting and engaging, art is definitely takes plays an important role. If, for example, you are teaching the Fibonacci series, right? You know how Fibonacci series works. There's 0, 0 plus 1 becomes 1, 1 plus 1 becomes 2, 2 plus 1 becomes 3, and so on and so forth. You just add the before number and the number and keep going. This is how you arrive at a composition. Right? This is how you arrive at a composition. This is how you compose a picture. So you have a 1, and then you have one more square, which is 2, and then you have another 2, a whole rectangle, which is the size of these 2 squares. So you kind of build it, and you kind of say, okay, now I'm going to place my major focus of the art in this particular area, and these are the main focuses. Okay, and also the golden mean when you kind of do that. So this way, what happens is it gives it a certain kind of how you actually apply the Fibonacci series. How do you actually apply the golden mean ratio?
Okay.
Right? So this way, it makes a lot of sense. Like when you look at this, I love teaching this Starry Night, Van Gogh's Starry Night. Those circles of stars that he does. There's this dot, 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 dot. So basically, he talks about the eddies of stars, right? He is basically talking about turbulence. Turbulence is what, when you go in the plane drops into air pressure, right? So it talks about he's drawn that from a fort, from a mental asylum, is what they say. Looking through the window, he saw that, and how he arrived at it is just genius, right? To give them this angle is just so interesting, and you just start loving things that you read and do, and that's the best part of this. Yeah. But, yeah, you want to learn science? Yeah, science, you're learning science for a particular reason, you're learning math for a particular reason, you go ahead and learn those concepts and do all that. But giving it an angle, or giving it through the platter of, serving it on an art platter makes it a lot more appealing and engaging.
Absolutely, I agree with that. There's so much that you retain when you learn things that way, like if the Fibonacci series, for instance. Great.
See, very simple. Even when you're teaching fractions, if instead of just teaching them like that, if you just ask them to make strips of paper and start coloring those paper into boxes, and then say 1/4 and 1/4 or 2/4 is equal to 1/2, whatever. To kind of learn all of that on a strip of paper where they color makes it a lot more interesting, but it also makes sense to them. They kind of understand why it came about. Right. And this enables them to apply it across concepts. Let's not think immediately about artworks of popular artists, but just something as simple as this can go a long way.
Okay, so guided art is something that is what this is all about, or do you also freestyle and learn about these techniques from your own art program at school? Is it all guided, and in which case does it really help in more tangible ways, as now that we are in the online schooling and pandemic phase of life? How do you see this as extending to their personal lives or behavioral aspects? And how do you translate this art education in this medium, and how has that been going for you so far?
Okay, so the most exciting thing has been that we got the children to do an art exhibition, right? So this happened during the pandemic.
When showing everybody a glimpse of that. That was beautiful, yeah.
So it was completely conceived, planned, and done by the kids. So I just facilitated, and they kind of did everything. See what happened, my reflection of this entire process, from starting art and design last year, where I was there with them physically, in the physical classroom. I was there, and I was able to help them out. And then we came online. A lot of ways I was able to, kind of connect with them, talk to them about, how can you bring your emotion on the paper? How, social and emotional learning was great. That was nice. Other than that, it's what else to say? It has been through this pandemic. It has almost been something that has actually got them used to this online setup. In fact, more than the subjects. Because again, the subjects they're like, oh, we're going to do math, and ma'am's there, and ma'am's telling us, and we're seeing some simulation, and we're doing it. And this was a tool that kind of said, okay, ma'am, I did this. Can I try this? And all that, what I saw in the classroom, came out in the art sessions. So that way it was very exciting and it was great for all of us. Yes.
And there's absolutely no rights or wrong when it comes to this. So I guess no surprise there that kids do enjoy it a lot more. So
Thank you.
I'm given to understand you are a parent as well. So how has it been this whole phase of online education the last 1 year? You do have both perspectives from an educator point of view as well as from a parent. So what has been your biggest learnings, hurdles, and how you've sort of like...
Okay. Online education is something that I really have no words. It's been difficult for everybody, right? It's been difficult for everybody, but unfortunately, this is not what what we wanted. It is a global challenge, and we're here, and we have to make do with what we have. However, this was my take on it as a parent. I wanted my child to interact with another human being other than somebody in the family.
Okay.
That's exactly why I was I sailed through this online virtual learning. But a lot of educators have made it very, very engaging. In the sense that we have come up with various. See, first of all, educators have learned how to use technology because we were in school and we didn't. Technology was taboo. We did not like it at all. But now we started using it for the better. We knew how to balance both. So that is one great learning for everybody. Another thing is, it has been for the children. We have brought in all the circle time and everything where they could just generally talk with each other. So that way it's been really great because see, that interaction is missing. You can always take English, math, science, academics, even for that matter, art and design, whatever, design thinking, whatever we were doing, we could always do that. It is why does the child go to school? Child goes to school because the child wants to interact with another human being, wants to know how to work with another human being. So these circle times have been really great. So that is one thing. One more thing that we are planning to do is we're planning to get something called a learning circle. Of course, we'll have to see how safe it is, and we'll have to see how we are able to get a safe community together. Learning circles are basically when we're going to have our learners come together. So probably in your class you might know all your classmates, and if it's a safe community. We have very strict protocols. So we get the community together and they meet and they do a little bit of fun learning. So that is something that we did. However, online this entire year has been difficult. It's been a challenge for everybody. I will not say no. But it is better because we were, even my 2-year-old, I have a 2-year-old daughter and then I have a 7-year-old daughter. My 2-year-old has been online as well. But it's more of a mom and me session where I'm sitting with her. Mm-hmm. But that way I also get time to spend with her. I usually don't have time at all. I'm in a rush all the time. So that way I'm able to spend that time with her. And she now knows to switch off the video and switch on the video on her own. So if I'm away, she switches off the video and she's rolling on the floor. But she's listening. She's listening, she's reciprocating. It's not more about the academics. This year is more about survival and knowing to prioritize and knowing about how, socially and emotionally, it is very important to connect and grow. I think that's what this year is about. And that's what online learning has taught us.
Absolutely. I think I haven't heard this side of things yet. So from whatever discussions I've had with my peers, that particular aspect of socialization is still lacking, because most online sessions, since it's all screen time, right? So I don't think anyone else allots time to socialize, and that's really great. That's something that's very thoughtful that you've done that, and the learning circles concept as well. That's really really wonderful thing, I would say as well. So I kind of relate to whatever you said about socialization and the lack of it. So even otherwise, do you have any other kind of advice for people who may not have that sort of access in terms of socialization? Because a lot of us are nuclear families in this age, and yeah, it's just the adults that the kid sees, and with the rising numbers, we're all very scared to let kids go to the public play areas and things like that. Any other out of the box ideas for you to for us to kind of fill this void of things in? I'm more concerned as a parent as to whether this would kind of impair my child for the future, because he's not been around a lot of his peer group for this year. So
absolutely,
that's something I'm very concerned about as well. What would you probably advise for people like me? Is it screen time, play dates, or how long can how long can the child survive on this mode? If it's going to be...
See, there's one thing. I'd like to make a statement here, because I've had a lot of people come and say, my child is very young. I don't want my child online. Yes, your child should not be online or watching passively.
Yeah.
Let's understand that very clearly. We don't want the child sitting and watching hours and hours of YouTube videos or talking to something that's recorded. But it's okay if the child is talking to another individual, that too limited for 40 minutes or 45 minutes. In a day, 1 hour is great, right? So let's just limit it to that 1 hour or 1 hour, 45 minutes. And it's important that the child talks to somebody and gets to this of, that is of value. Now, talking about this social connect, I started off this pandemic with a virtual play date. It's just so sad to even hear it. But if you know, you have a friend who, they've been taking all measures and they're safe, and now the vaccination is out. So if you know that it's all safe, then get together and do a play date.
Right.
So, of course, yes, I think Moina is messaging saying actively engage. Absolutely. Active engagement and interaction is of great importance. And get together, meet in somebody's house. Don't go to a play center. It's not advisable as of now, because I don't know what their sanitization methods are. So get together on small play dates. It's really important for the children, because see, I heard my child say, we were talking about what's going to happen to their routine beginning of this pandemic, right? So how are they going to get up, get ready, do whatever they're doing? But what eventually happened was, it's become too much of a routine now. It's like that Groundhog Day movie. They wake up in the morning, do the same thing, go on, keep doing the same thing. So my daughter came and told me, Ma, I'm doing the same thing every day. I'm playing the same game. I'm waking up at the same time. I'm doing the same thing. You need that element of surprise. You need meeting people. So, start going to your parents' house. It's safe. Start going to places where it's safe. And I think each of us have to start following, very stringent protocols just to socially engage with each other. I think that's very important, especially for kids, with kids around. Yeah.
Right. The routine bit is pretty smooth. The same reality here as well. And it's always good to like juggle that up and do these.
Because I don't know what's going to happen in June as well. June, July, August, September. We're hoping things are going to be. See, children are not going to get affected by the pandemic, but they will be carriers. And if you have, elderly people and vulnerable people, then they will be carriers, and it's going to be a threat to those people. But it's just that you just need to see whether it's a safe group, and then get them together in somebody's house. Have small play dates.
Yeah, makes sense.
We're planning to do that from the school. That's the learning circle for the early education group.
Somewhere where they can gather, talk to each other. That sounds absolutely wonderful. So anyway, on the subject of online learning and school, so tell us what to expect this coming year. Are things going to remain the same as it was last year, or do you think there's going to be a change in things? School's going to open up, maybe hybrids, or I mean, what in your view is going to happen? Just for us to be a little more prepared, maybe.
I wish I knew. But see, the looks of it, it's going to start off as an online education only in June. But I don't think it's going to be perennial. See, let's understand, C-19 is not going anywhere. It's going to be there for quite some time, just as you have dengue and everything else. It's going to be around. You just have to learn to make those lifestyle alterations that helps you live through it, right? It's going to reduce over a period of time. That's what, see, I've been speaking to a lot of medical professionals, and that's what I gather. So June, I think it's going to be online again. And slowly we will move into a hybrid model, and slowly I think we will come back to school. It's not going to be perennial. So, I mean, there is light at the end of the tunnel.
So this is for, what would you say, for higher, for high school levels, or is this like across school?
High school probably might return to school, but I'm talking about the younger ones.
Younger ones, okay. All right.
Because high school, you can still ask them to wear the face mask and the shield and all that. What would you do with the younger ones?
Right. Not possible with them, yeah. Okay. So, right. So since that's what it is going to be. So a lot of parents are going to be taking up admissions for the upcoming year, and a lot of children have never been to a physical school before. Is online schooling really the way to kind of step into your first school? What is your take on that? Like, I'm talking for pre-K and
right. We can't miss a year. Let's all understand that very clearly. We can't miss a year in a child's life, because research itself says, this book here is a very wonderful book. I think all of you should pick up. As parents, it's important to understand how the brain works and what happens. Neuroscience is such a lovely subject, and it's not something that you will not understand or mind-boggling. You should pick up this book and read it. Teaching with the brain in mind. What happens is, until 8 years is when the child is making the maximum number of neural connections. Okay, so how does learning happen? Let's just understand how learning happens. Okay, I'm going to give you a word. Let's do a small thing, Grace. So I'm going to give you a word. I want you to tell me whether you know it, and then you have to just tell me, okay? Kookaburra. Do you know what a kookaburra is?
I think it's a bird.
Okay. It's a bird. Okay, just be aware of what's happening to your learning or the way you're thinking, okay? And what you're visualizing. Just be aware of that, and I'll tell you. It's a bird It's almost like a crow, but it looks slightly white.
Right.
And it's very loud.
Mm-hmm.
So you know what a kookaburra now is, right? But how have you made the mental connections? You've put all those things that you already know. You know a crow, you know white, you know being loud. You put all of that together and you've made a mental image. This is how learning happens.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right? This is how learning happens. This kind of, the minute you start doing that, your brain starts making neural connections. It starts making connections like that. So now it's made a mental schema of, okay, this is a kookaburra.
Mm-hmm.
Now, old gum tree, yes. It sits on an old gum tree. There's a song which says, kookaburra sitting on an old gum tree. And yeah, anyway, now what happens is this neural connections or mental schema is a lot more, it's they make a lot of connections up to 8 years. So it is very important every month. See, you and me, probably this month we might be the same, next month we might be doing the same. Our skill sets won't develop in a month. But when you take a 2-month-old or a 3-month-old child, or even for that matter, you will have so much of changes. Like the child toppers, child starts crawling, whatever. So that is the neural connection the child is making. So do not skip that 1 year.
Right.
Because what happens is when you start skipping that 1 year and then you miss, that 1 year's whatever learning or whatever happens, after a year to kind of go back, you can always go back and learn, but then the brain is a lot more expansive to learn other things and to build on it. You've missed that 1 year. You can still go back and learn, but you're not going to start again from pre-KG's content, are you? You want to start only from UKG or LKG's content because you will think your child is going to go back 1 year. So that way you are not building the basis or the underpinning essential skills, and you're trying to build a far more complex abstract concept in the child's mind. That becomes a lot more difficult. So do not skip the year. That is one. Online, no online, yes. But as far as what we are doing is, I think, I don't know how many of them are doing this. What we are doing as a school, Sunsmart Foundation, we are having something called learning circles. So if we say 5 days a week, we are going to be learning. We'll probably start with 3 days of online. And 2 days, we are planning to get a small, safe community together. Say probably you and your friend and somebody else are friends together. We're trying to get them together, keep them in one common space, either their house or a sanitized space in the school. So organize a sort of a play date or something like that, where we're doing fun math, fun whatever, fun sensory, fun whatever it is.
Yeah.
Right? So we want to engage, bring them together, and then the teacher will go there, be a part of this. We've got all our teachers vaccinated. We're doing all that. So that way, the children are not missing out on this entire interaction.
We really learn how to adapt to the normal, and that's quick learning, I must say.
No, there's no other go. No, we'll have to live through this. So we kind of make do with what we have. Yeah, Eric Jensen.
Yeah, someone's asked if you can show the book, the title of the book.
Yes. Can you see?
Can you share the title again?
Teaching with the brain in mind, Eric Jensen.
Okay, great. Thank you. All right. So since we just spoke about a child's first class or entry to school, is there anything from from an educator point of view, what parents can do to kind of prep them or kind of set them up for success if this is going to be the medium for the year to come? some ground rules or things that you would recommend, that you would usually recommend to parents who are enrolling with you?
Okay, I think you should first talk to your homeroom teacher, the child's teacher, to kind of understand where each of you are coming from. That's very important. Two, keep in touch with the teacher. Three, as far as the child is concerned, encourage the child to make mistakes. Don't say, you need to be perfect in this. You need to just write it on that line. You need to, not, what usually happens in the online classes is, they're on mute and the teacher asks a question. So we have parents here and saying, say this is the answer, just say it. Why don't you open your mouth and say it? Don't stress the child. If the child doesn't want to say it, the child won't say it. The teacher has to understand the child doesn't want to say it. It's not comfortable. That's all. The child's not comfortable. As simple as that. Right? So I think don't stress the child out. Let the child be. Online, offline, whatever it is, just let the child be. The child will eventually be all right. If there is some intervention to be done, I'm sure if you keep in touch with the child, keep in touch with the teacher is going to share it with you, and you will know the progress, you will know where to help. And especially with the, when the child is starting school, you want them to love the experience. Absolutely. That should be your priority, right? If they did not pick up one or two skills along the way, it's okay, we will figure it out. Right. It's okay, we will figure it out. But it's important that you make it an enjoyable experience. I say that even with reading. You want your child to start reading. Give them picture books. It's okay if they tear it. Right at the beginning. It's okay if they tear it. Just slowly enforce and say, you cannot tear this because, this is such a lovely book, and the next time you are not going to be able to see this, and I'm not going to be able to spend that time with you and tell you a story. Right? So, make it an enjoyable experience. That's the only thing. And they know what to do. They're emotionally very intelligent. More intelligent than what we imagine them to be. So they will take the lead and do what they have to do. Just have to keep them comfortable and happy. Absolutely. And encourage them. Every time they've done some kind of a circle or something and they come and show it to you, you don't think you don't think great about it. You don't think it's great. Never mind, just call them a Rembrandt. What's going to happen?
I know. I've been doing a lot of this, so I know, okay, this is what teachers have been doing this long. Looking at really average drawings and still cheering for the child and kind of building them up. And that's something I think we need reminders on doing with our own children. So that's really cool.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
Okay, so
by the way, Grace, huge respect to a lot of moms like you who have taken so much of interest in, of course it is your child, but a lot of people just get into homeschooling, because they fancy it. But to actually do the work behind it, is a lot more. You're running a school on your own.
I know I don't think I knew the full depth of what I signed up for in the beginning, but yeah, a year of this and I'm like, boy, this is so much work and so much research, because at times we don't really know, okay, is this the right approach to things? So yeah, that's a whole job in itself, I would say.
Huge respect.
Thank you. So yeah, before we wind up, I have a few questions that I took from my readers. Okay, so someone's asked about robotics, coding, all these things that are kind of out here in the open these days. What is your perspective on that? What's your school's philosophy when it comes to new age things like coding for children, robotics for children? How do you see that, and how have you kind of adapted to that?
Well, see, we have, I think coding is great. Coding, robotics, everything is great. It is one more way teaching them to use technology wisely, and doing something so productive. And it's great. It's here to stay. See, we are technology immigrants and they're technology residents. You just have to teach them how to use it well. And we have come up with a couple of programs like design thinking, makerspace, and Big Dream Learning, which is a STEAM-based program. And IC coding is a great part of our ICT program. What happens is when you introduce these, see, this is here to stay, so they need to definitely be equipped with this. But at the same time, we also have made organic farming mandatory for everybody.
Basic, yeah.
So I like the balance.
Mm-hmm.
So you know about technology, you know about what you can do, how you can connect, you know about coding and so much more. But at the same time, you also understand sustainability.
Right.
You also understand how important the environment is.
Basic life skills, yeah. That
to be self-sufficient, to be sustainable, to live a sustainable lifestyle, lead a sustainable lifestyle, it's very important to teach them that. But yes, coding and everything is here to stay, and it's very lovely, those programs. You can take it up, but don't again make it into again a rat race.
Okay. So you mentioned you have a makerspace. So is that something that the online course also kind of conducts?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, yes. So we're going to be doing that. See, it comes under our curious curriculum because we believe in thinking as, learning is thinking, right? So to bring up that inquiry and to kind of give them that mindset, we have this curious curriculum which makes them basically very curious and very doing and all that. So makerspace, again, it's going to be, you can choose one of that, makerspace or design thinking, and they master it through the year. It's going to be available online as well. So the first thing in the morning, they have their circle time. So they quickly meet up and talk to each other right 8 o'clock in the morning. And then they start off doing these makerspace and getting into makerspace and design thinking and all that. So how we do that is either we send the resource home or we try and do with whatever you have at home. That's how we're planning to do it online. Some of the resources which are not available, we try and send it to the learners. So that way we're kind of able to do that. But I'm waiting for them to come back into our big space because I think by the time they actually come back full time, it'll be academic year 22-23. So end of the year probably they might come, but they're being there in the school the entire from the beginning of the academic year. I think it's going to be academic year 22-23 by which time we would be in our bigger campus. We are moving into a 20 ground campus, 10 minutes from where we are, and we're trying to have a small little farm there.
Oh, that's really nice. It's fun for the children to enjoy that. Okay, so final question. So now that there's no kind of separation between school, home, work, it's all in one place, are there things that you would advise your children, your students, or even for the parents or caretakers? How do they kind of like segregate, get into work mode, school mode when doing their online courses? And generally, how do you like help children benefit the most out of this phase of learning?
Okay, so we have to make sure the environment is conducive. So the child is sitting in a space where the child there's very less disruption. That's the basic that is required, other than that, as teachers, we try and make the content that we teach as engaging as possible, as interactive as possible. And a lot of this Padlet and various other things have made it so, easy for us to make it interactive. So we've come across a couple of apps which makes it very interactive. As far as preparing the environment, I would say plan ahead. Get to know what's going to happen the entire week from the school. Plan ahead. Keep everything in one place so that it's easy for the child to grab. And it's not like you're in a school and you have the books in the rack and you just pull one off the rack and then you're going to write. So it's suddenly, if something is required, the child shouldn't be running around or calling you. You might be at work, so the child's calling you, asking you for it. So I've been through all that. That's why my experience talks. So what I've learned from experience is keep everything in one space. A small cupboard or a bag, put everything there so that the child, you can just pull it. Keep, separators. Say finished assignments go into one folder. Additional A4 sheets in one folder. Your color pencils, crayons and everything goes into one box. Your paints go into one box. And your books and notebooks are there in one place. So that it's all there in one particular place. The child's able to pick it up and work. The child's not running for a scissors, not running for a glue. So these are things I think you will need to, because it also makes child very anxious. We don't understand. These are small things that can make the child very, very anxious. And a lot of times when the child's sitting there and, the teacher's asking the child questions, child who is so, such an extrovert refuses to even talk.
Mm-hmm.
It might be something as simple as my pencil is not sharp.
Okay, I thought it was only the case with my own child, but okay, it looks like it's a universal thing. Okay.
No, because see, for us it's just a pencil. It's not sharp. You can still write with it. But for me, I see it as portraying the way I am, portraying my image, self-identity. My identity is being portrayed that way. That I don't write neatly,
Yeah.
and that works on the child's head, and a lot of other things happen. Yeah. So that way, just keep that environment secure and avoid disruption. If you have to talk on the phone, try and go elsewhere and talk on the phone. Just at 40 minutes when the child's online, just give them that space. And if your child does need help, and I know a lot of parents are working and you're not able to be around with the child, so that way talk to the teacher. Talk to the teacher.
Okay.
If you're not able to be around with the child when the child is online, when you have a very young child, even a grade 1 child, and child's online and you're not able to help the child, try and talk to the teacher. Try and say, I'm not around, this is what's happening, but later on if we can have a chat or, what I can do, I will probably help the child. So that way everybody is
aware of what's happening. Valid.
And all mothers, you're doing your best. Don't be too hard on yourself. We're all warriors.
Absolutely.
COVID warriors.
It's a huge learning curve for all of us, and we
Absolutely
survived so well. And going forward, the next year should only be like a new level of thriving for us. I hope so.
If you ask my learners did a design thinking program on how mothers are not having breakfast.
Oh, okay.
So that was a lovely project. But see, what I want to say is, mothers, have your breakfast, be comfortable. So that, I read somewhere where I thought it's very true. More than anything else, a child wants a happy mother.
Absolutely.
A child wants a happy mom. You just need to be happy around the child. You need to be, when they want to play, be in that excited mode, for which you need to, your stomach needs to be all right, your body needs to be all right, your mind needs to be all right. So, get into that space. I think work on yourself, the child, you will be able to do a lot more.
Right. And that's a good point as well. Working on your, once your food's in, you are more, a better
No,
person.
this is my learning from my child. I'm talking about my Sun Smart kids. They did a project on their mothers, how their mothers are not having breakfast. They went and interviewed them and came back and developed a prototype. They even sampled the prototype. They made a health bar and sampled the prototype. So reading their entire work and them talking to us about their mother, I kind of understand. It is very important that they care about their mother and how it affects their psyche, and it's very important that you are a happy mom for them.
Right, absolutely. Great. Thank you so much. If there's anything else you would like to add, I think there have been a lot of comments of agreement with whatever you've said. That's what I see.
Yeah, there's been quite a lot of comments. Yes. But thank you, everybody. And thank you, Grace, for inviting me. It's been an absolute pleasure to talk to you. And I hope I was able to make some sense.
It's been very helpful. I'm sure a lot of parents must have a lot to take away from this session in advance of preparation for the next year as well. So thank you so much for your input as from both sides of the table, the parent and the
Thank you.
Really appreciate it. Thanks everyone.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye.